Good afternoon from Vietnam, Dino. Thank you so much for spending your morning with me and the audience of the Inside Sharing Show. We really appreciate that.
Good afternoon to you, Ha. Very nice talking to you, being on the program. Thank you.
Thank you. And you know what? It's the best. Today is the end of September. It's no better way to end the month with another activity like this. It's in our great honor in our culture to have our speaker to share about themselves. So is that okay if you can have sharing who you are and the works you do? Do you know?
Of course, it is my pleasure. So I'm 56 and I'm very close to being 57 in a few months, and I am an ex corporate leader. So I spent about 30 years in corporations, in financial services. I used to be mainly involved in credit risk management and global project management. So in 2018, I was laid off, and that was something that I was also thinking about, exiting, because I really wanted to do something different. But so that decision from the company came at the very right moment for me. So then I decided to really take that as an opportunity to really do what I always wanted to do, which was going across the Indian reservation of America and to write a book that I started before being laid off, but I never could really concentrate and focus on the book because I was working. So this is what I did. I traveled and I wrote the book, which was a completely new experience for me because I never wrote a novel. And the technique to write a novel is completely different than a non-fiction type of book. So I had to learn. There was a lot of study involved. I had to learn. And so then I published it, first in the English version. I self-published it. And then it was actually, the Italian version was taken by a traditional publisher here in Italy, which makes me very happy because that's, yeah, thank you. So, and I'm coaching. So I've also invested into learn about coaching, what coaching really is. And so this is what I'm doing now, writing, coaching, and at times when things work well, I would also give consultancy, like credit risk consultancy. So this is really what I do now.
Thanks for sharing that. You know what? A lot of friends who are, corporate leaders of mine, there's two things that they always regret when they get to retirement. First, they did not start their own company when they was earlier because they are competent and then they can, make their company works very well. The second is that they always wanted to write a book, but they yet writing a book. So you accomplished both, and I want to congratulate you for that. All right. Allow me to bring you back onto a younger version of Gino, the one that like we want to examine your dream when you were young compared to the journey that you have been. All right. When I was young, I wanted to become an astronaut. My wife, she wanted to become a singer, and life took us in different directions, and neither of us accomplished the desire that we would want to be when we were young. And so, when you were young, Gina, what did you dream about the world when you grow up? And what is that you want to accomplish and contribute to the world? Huh?
Well, when I was young, I was playing in a band, in a rock band. So I used to sing and play guitar, and so in fact. When I was that young, I had two dreams. One, I wanted to be a musician. The other one is I wanted to be a policeman. So when I became a policeman, I was also playing in a band. And then I thought, really being in the police force is really not for me, because it's all regimented. It's like, the career path is practically already, it's based on age. And the type of person that I was, it could have been dangerous for me, because I was really, like everything, it's really I'm all in or I'm out. So if I was all in that kind of job, it would have been also kind of risky. So my heart was really going into music. So with the band, so the drum player and the keyboard player, we left and we went to the UK, to London, because we thought that London is the place where everything happens in terms of music and everything. So we go there and we spent 2 years there trying, but we actually did everything apart from playing guitar or anything. In fact, we were working very hard to just survive. And for a while, we also been homeless. So myself and the keyboard player didn't have anything to go to, no place to go to. We were on the streets, but we had the money to pay for the deposit of the flat. So we actually went to Abbey Road Studios to record one song. So Abbey Road Studios is like a temple for the music. Well, the Beatles started, the Duran Duran and Tina Turner, Pink Floyd, everybody was there. So we went there to record a song. So that's the best I've done during that time. So I really wanted to be a musician, like a rock star. It didn't work out. So when I went back to Italy, I was pretty lost and disconnected with everything, because I invested everything in the music emotionally. This is all I would imagine of myself being. So somebody told me, why don't you apply for this job now that you are back? And it's for American Express. And I didn't even know what American Express was. So, okay, fine. And that started, the financial services career started there with American Express.
You see, your personality is all in, or you're out, right? So when the love for music and the love for playing and like singing, you're all in for that. And we a lot of people living halfway, right? And they would not know how it ends. Even if its end is not a good ending, we still give everything that we could already onto that, and that is a spark moment of our life. We can proudly share it to the people, because there's a lot of people who look at it as inspirations. Maybe the path is not works first, it doesn't mean it's not going to work for somebody else, right? And keep the hope for them, the dreams for them. That's what we want. So
yeah, you're totally right. You're totally right, because a lot of people live halfway, deciding, wanting, but then fear actually blocks them. And it's true that it doesn't necessarily mean when you are all in that you will succeed. That I didn't succeed as a musician, but success is not something that you can measure as a result of, I want to become an astronaut, as you said. Then if I don't become an astronaut, I am a failure. That's got nothing to do with it. One is fails when he really knows what he wants and is not allowing himself to fail at doing it, at trying it.
Yep.
So when I came back, I felt as a failure. I really did. And for a while, it was a very sad time for me. But then, in growing up, I was able to put all the pieces of the puzzle together, which was not becoming a rock star. What I really wanted to, what's deep inside, was living intensely. And I lived very, very intensely in those 2 years. The jobs that I've done, I worked in the theaters, I worked in the hotel, I've traveled, I've been homeless. So that to me is a very intense life experience. And I came back with the language. I'm speaking to you now in English because of that experience, because otherwise I didn't know this land.
Mm.
So how do you measure success? I think if you have regrets, then you know you need to adjust something.
Yep.
But if you do not have regrets, although you were not successful, you know that's success because you're living, right? You're living fully your life.
Yep.
So your spark is always on. So I totally agree with what you're saying. Some people just live halfway.
Yep. Yeah. I think that we all live once, right, and die once. So, so if we can do things that make us happy, make us feel like there's a something that we do intensely and intendedly, where we give 100% of our time, our efforts, our minds into that. That's already defined success for me. And then the results, there's a different sort of things that can impact and affect to the result. So we don't control on that one, but we can always control on what we give it and on to what we do. That's it.
Totally agree. 100% with you, huh? 100%. Totally agree.
I want to bring you all the way back into the moment that you said that you already wanted to leave the job, right? Because back then um, during the time that the company decided to make it redundant, you also all wanted to quit on the job and do something else. What happened during your 30 years and going to the corporate leaders role and you want to leave? Tell us.
Okay, so between 39 and 42, I've gone through a very big crisis for me. I separated with my wife. I lost my home at that time, and I lost my father. And with separations from the wife, you actually separate from all the friends that you have, because it's kind of the family friends and so on. So I was a very difficult time of my life, and so all my work basically collapsed, and I spent like 3 years trying to fight so hard to fix the problems, resolve the problems. And at that point in time, I was working really, really hard. So my health wasn't doing very well, my mental health even less. So one day I totally broke down, and thank God for that, because when I broke down, I could actually see what I was trying to do, all the illusion that I was trying to run after, to that kind of sense of power, that it's really an illusion. So you think you can accomplish things, the most significant things in life. It's got nothing to do with a career, with money, with prestige, with a title. It's something different. But to see it, we need to exhaust our illusions first. So because I had I'd say a very big career, and so I was already like in directorship, and I had more and more responsibilities. I had big job, and I collapsed, and I wasn't happy. Everything around me collapsed. Then I saw really what was the thing I was doing. And so even 10 years before I was made redundant, my mind shifted completely. And I didn't care anymore about the next movement in career, and yet I made even a bigger career, because I become a member of the board of directors. I became a regional director with EMEA and APAC regions. I traveled a lot. So before, I was actually making a career out of fear of not making it. So I was really struggling. I was really trying to prove myself, to maybe to redeem my failures, because a failure as a musician failure as a student because I was a terrible student during my high school age, very terrible. And so kind of trying to redeem, and that was really an effort that dried me up completely. But when I gave it all up because I saw all the illusion I was after, then everything, it was so effortless, so easy. And I made a bigger career. But then I realized really that all I ever cared about, more than becoming a successful manager or leader, was people. I always loved the interaction, the relationship with people, whether it was my team or my colleagues or my superior, that it doesn't matter. I love the relationship with people, and what I love more, now that I have a better awareness of what I went through, I love to help people transcending their limiting beliefs. So to see what they are after, so that they can be free from it and live a more fulfilling and authentic life. And so when I see people that say, now I know what I have to do, meaning this is really what matters the most.
Wow.
Rather than the next, career, advancement in career or whatever. I love to see people releasing their blocks and feeling free to be really who they are authentically and live their life.
Wow. I think that that realization is big, right? Because in adversities is where we start to look back on, our journey, what we did right, what we're happy with, and what we're not happy with, and for us to realize that, whether or not the life we have been chasing is the right kind of life, right? And if we look at the society in a different perspective, like school teach us, to reward the top student, then you go to work, all the spotlights go to the performers, and there's a lot of things that makes us drive on to become better, more, and to the top and stuff like that. And when we get to the top, it's so lonely there. It's lonely that not because of the people don't care. I think because of we on the way up there, we don't carry the people with us. We go alone, and the effort was like really self effort. So it's made us lonely up there, right? So, uh, so so tell me the journey from the moment that you left. How do you feel from the inside out?
Freedom, total freedom, joy. The thing is, I started to work when I was very young. I was 11 when I started to work during summertime. So while the other kids were going to the beach, having fun, and before going back to school, in autumn, I would always work. So since I was 11, although I was a student, I always worked. I never had any long vacation like every child. So my worry as an adult was, will I ever experience a free time, which is like a 3 months long free time in my life before I die? So that was kind of, Jesus, I can't remember. So when that happened, I said, wow, I've got all this time available now. And, I wake up when I wake up, and whatever happens, happens, and I'm free. So I thought, okay, now this is so beautiful. I cannot let it go. So then I went to this trip, and even more trip afterwards. And so I dedicated myself to writing. So I really felt beautiful and free, and to do anything that comes to your mind. The only limitation is you, right?
Yep.
So I could have done anything or nothing, depending on what I wanted to do, really commit to.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really admire the journey that you having at the moment, because not only that you are free of doing what you want to do, but you also inject the sparkles into the life of the people, so that can help them to become freer at what they are doing, give them the space for them to rethink and what they do, and maybe they can decided to see life in a different way, the way that can be more fulfilling and living more authentically. Doesn't mean that they need to leave the corporate world, right? They can do whatever they do, but whatever
Right.
they are doing, it will be more authentic, it will be more of themselves, and it will be more happy for them from the inside and the outside. So go to work happy, go
Yes.
home happy. Yeah.
Absolutely, you're totally right because this doesn't mean that you leave the corporate world. I totally agree.
Yeah.
And in fact, as I said earlier, when I had that realization, I actually grew in career terms even more because from being a national country head, I became a regional head of credit risk. Like in EMEA, in Asia, I became a member of the board. However, I was more authentic to myself. I wasn't after. You're totally right, because when people identify themselves with a title, with a career, with a power and prestige, they live in hell. They don't live, that's why they feel alone at the top, because they separated themselves from themselves. They're not authentic.
Yep.
That's the suffering, because they're not effortlessly doing what they would do anyway. So you're spot on.
Dino, but authenticity, if we've been doing the work and we've been wearing the hats, the mask for so long, to separate, our real self and our corporate self, image, right? Then sometimes we fall into the trap of not knowing where's the real person that we are having anymore. And how can we, make the two work onto one?
The how, I think, is very personal.
Yeah.
Everyone has his unique path.
Yeah.
So I don't think that anybody can actually tell anybody else to say, if you do this, you will find your real self and you will be fine. Nobody can. I think that's my view. However, we can help as coaches by listening to our clients. What is it that really triggers them? What is it that really scares them? And let them elaborate. So the way I see coaching and the way I would say is that, people can actually achieve their authenticity is a sort of like a meditation practice. Meditation, not like closing my eyes and playing a mantra or anything, but it's about deep inquiry. And so when you listen to somebody and that says, I'm not happy now, I feel I've lost my authenticity, I disconnected, then you listen carefully, and then you ask questions, so that these questions is like their own question. They allow them to think deeply until they find out their reason. So the answer would be inner digging. So how do people find authenticity and easiness to just be themselves, whether they in a corporate or outside the corporate, is listen to yourself, question yourself, your belief systems. And because it's very difficult to do it for ourselves, because we got blind spot and we cannot see our own blind spot the way it's an external person can actually see them. It's easier for somebody the external to see and reflect back to you. So inner digging, find somebody that can help you go through the process where you find your answer. What I would say is seek no answers from anybody. That's important, because seeking somebody, like, for example, if you ask me, okay, so basically I would say everybody has to go through the process I've been through and they would be happy. It would be stupid. It would be stupid for me to say, because everybody has his own path and they don't have to do what I have done. However, if they feel inspired by this thing that I gave it all I had, for each person, giving all that they have may be different thing, but they give all that they have in doing what makes them happy, is in being who they are, whatever they do.
Wow.
So there are no how-tos for being. I can tell you how to do things, but I cannot tell you how to be yourself. You have to be yourself, which is basically the easiest and the most difficult thing to do. Because of all the conditioning.
Yep. So it has to come from us, right? And then we're the one that really can change, find the answer for our ends. Would lead me a very big question is like this, because for a long time we've been having interpreted by the people, our teams, the people around us in a different image, right? And now if we want to change to to put the authentic self onto what we are doing, that would be a big surprise for a lot of people. And because of that big surprise, there's always doubts, always question about what the heck this person changed and stuff like that. People don't support for certain change like that, right? And how can we tell the people that, hey, this is the new version of me, I want to be living like that, I want to be working like this, and have the support from them though.
When people is ready, is ready. When they are not, it would be their ego, their fear. Ego to me is mental patterns, and mental pattern is all based on fear. So when people around you say, look at her, it's so different now, what happened to him? They would judge you, they would criticize you, they would feel a bit awkward. However, if you are authentic to yourself, one, you already feel that you're winning. You don't need people to say good things to you, because you are the worst enemy to yourself. And the moment you are authentic, you become your first lover to yourself and the best one. So when you overcome your fears and you become authentic, really, you don't care that much about what the other thinks, because you know that they're actually still fighting their own battle. So they have no influence, real influence. So you are authentic, you stay authentic because you're already winning. Then the environment is the environment. You don't control the environment.
I see.
Right? But if you are your full self, you would respond to whatever is the environment authentically. So if you see that there is people really arguing because of power, because of ego, everybody wants to show is more important and the greater role, and envying the team members, or all these things are very childish, and it's based on ego. When you're authentic, it means that you are aligned. Your mind and your heart are aligned. It's just one thing. So you can see things with a much more expanded view, and you can basically help everyone else. Because when people judge you, it doesn't mean that something is not happening in them. Because it's like a contrast. They see how more comfortable you are with yourself, and they relate themselves to, well, I am not that comfortable. So initially they would say you are the problem, but they know that basically they would like to have the same status of mind that you have, the same peace of mind that you have. So finally you will become a catalyst. Everyone wants to be around you because there is something special about you, because you are at peace.
Wow. I think that authenticity, even given that it has been out in the market for long, and then companies everywhere people talk about authentic cities. I sometimes I play a devil advocate for that because I feel the system is yet ready. We're still under the old traditional management system, which there's a lot of rules, there's a lot of procedure, there's a lot of policies out there that, and there's a lot of things, like company create visions based on a leader up there, right? Create a vision for 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 people down here to follow that vision. So we going to work is not already authentic, right? We going to work because we want to have a maybe that, there's other obligation that we're going to work for, and we may yet align with that vision. And there's a lot of other things that in there that, that make us feel like, okay, we just do the works, and then we can be authentic at home outside of the works. So if authenticity can be really applied to an environment, it has to make a lot of shift in organizational change and transformations and everything. So where do you see the authenticity gonna come in the workplace in the next, like 5, 10 years?
Well, I think more and more people is looking at the economic system, and it's becoming more aware of what the economic system nowadays is trying to do. The economic system create a need so that they can continue to provide services. So it's not all, but it's pretty much unauthentic. So all this consumption model, consumerism model, is really not natural the way we're living. So people is reflecting, and they're not really ready to put up with all that. It's like every quarter you have to give some more. How many times did we hear the leaders of the company saying, guys, you're being fantastic, we achieved great result, thank you so much, but we have to do more. And every quarter is like this, guys, you are fantastic, but we have to do more. We have to do more. And if you keep hearing this every quarter, every year, for 30 years, you start to understand that basically this system doesn't work well.
Yep.
Because not only that, you have to work harder, but more and more people are fired.
Yep.
Because now what is happening is that the financial, all these corporations have financial goals.
Yep.
In the past, it was more about industrial plans. So the vision that you talked about earlier has changed from being a vision to create something good for society, for the community, for a longer period of time. So you were investing, you were planting a seed so that your sons and daughters could see the trees in 20 years. So that was kind of a long-term strategy for the whole community. So it was easier to find more motivation to go to work. But now, because it's all about financial goals, all the company want to achieve the next financial goals, the next financial goal. That doesn't inspire anybody. It doesn't inspire anybody because it doesn't give the communities anything for sure, not even in 1 year time. You're always, shaking that maybe I lose my job the next month, maybe the next year, we don't know what's going to happen. So it's all like this. So who is going to be inspired? So basically, one big problem is this one. But nevertheless, if you are authentic with yourself, you can still be inside a company, whether it's a toxic environment or it's a company that's just got financial goals, that doesn't matter. Because the thing is, you're not identifying yourself with a cog into the system, but you know that you are a full human being, that while digging the dirt, you can still provide good value to your colleagues. you can still be a human. So when I talk about authenticity, it goes really back to imagine your pure self when you were a kid. You didn't have all this pressure to prove yourself. You just, what you were joyful, you wanted to play with other kids, and you could never end up playing unless you were tired, then you would go back to sleep immediately. So imagine that kind of energy.
Yep.
Because you feel joyful, because you are who you are with people, and so helping people, loving people, this is what ends up being authentic to me, because it's not an authentic ego. It's transcending the ego to go back to how you were when you were a kid.
Yep.
But with awareness this time, because when you were a kid you were not aware, you were just joyful, playful, curious, you want to find out things and you wanted to explore. Then you built up all your ego, the image of yourself, your identity, that made you suffer. And then when this identity breaks down, you have this great opportunity to become like you were when you were a kid, but this time you are aware of all the illusions that keep you away from it. So being authentic really is transcending the ego and finding your true self. So no matter the environment, that doesn't matter the environment.
Yeah.
You can still respond the way you are.
Yes.
People confuse too often what I do with who I am.
So it's exactly like you will live in and let the way of the wind do whatever it is, right? So why did you title your book the one the way of the wind? No.
The wind is a metaphor to me for spirit, right? Because the wind, you can't touch, but you can feel it.
Yep.
And so it's a journey, right? So there is this corporate manager trapped in the hamster wheel, working days and night, and it's really on the verge of a nervous breakdown. And then he goes through this experience in life. He goes through this journey, which is geographical and spiritual at the same time. And then he feels free, like the wind. So he liberates from a lot of conditioning, and he finds out a lot more than he thought he could experience in life. So the way of the wind is really the way to free yourself from every conditioning and all the knowing, the so-called knowing, that actually stop us from being curious, stop us from wanting to explore. Because if you think you know, you ended up your research.
Yep. So if we can be like as free as the wind and can flow anywhere, then we can be more curious to learn every corner, every tree, every like everything around us, right?
Yes.
Hey.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It doesn't have to be anything in particular, because you are bringing with you the joy, the curiosity for the exploration in itself. It doesn't have to give you we started this conversation with the goal, right?
Yeah.
We want to get to the goal. The thing is, what if we are unsuccessful? It doesn't matter, because it does matter, but it is not going to bring you down as a person if you don't succeed.
Yep.
Because the curiosity, the joy of the journey itself is much bigger than the results you get at the end of the journey.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dino, I have a last couple of questions for you. All right. So I will start with the thing that my wife and I have been looking for. So we are looking for the secret sauce that can help people to improve their ability to think, because we believe that our ability to think these days is actually declining. It's not increasing. And every chance that we got to talk to somebody that success as have a good career success, been doing something astounding, and their work involve a lot of thinking. We ask this question, Dino, how do you help in yourself increase your ability to think?
I'm not sure there is a technique for me, but it's a state It's a meditative state that I basically live most of my time. So based on the experience I had that I told you about, when my mind collapsed and I could see. So more than the ability to think, I think that that what I would be more concerned about is my awareness. Am I aware that the source of my thinking, which one is the source of my thinking? Because we typically think that my thoughts are generated by my awareness. 99% of the time, this is not true. Because when we identify with the story of my life, I identify with the story of my life, so that I have my pains, my memories, and everything, and I start to think from that, that's not awareness. This is not aware thinking, but it's just a thought that is produced by another big thought, which is the image of myself. So if we are aware of all the thinking that we do and the emotion that we feel, and we can see where they're coming from. So when I can see the way my mind operates, then I'm aware. Then whatever thought I produce out of that, it's a conscious, it's aware, it's awareness, it's creative thoughts, because it's new, it's fresh, it comes from awareness. But if we have all these values and principles and beliefs that are based on who I am, then this is not, it's just a logic of thinking that you continue to repeat to yourself and to others. It's the same thing, it's the same reaction, it's the same thoughts, it's the same conclusion. So really, that's not real thinking.
So we have to challenge that. So question it back, and try to not listen to it, but start to question, and then we have a different kind of answers to what we're looking for, right?
Well, yes. The thing is, you actually don't even have answers. You stop questioning. When you see where your thinking are coming from, then you see that all your thinking does is trying to give you power, some sort of power, whether on the relationship, it's some kind of negotiation, whether you win something, you lose something, so you're trying always some kind of power. What you're trying to achieve is in career terms, it's a sense of inadequacy. So what is the trigger that makes you think in that way is what awareness allows you to do. So awareness makes you see all your inner triggers. When you see your inner triggers, you realize that inner triggers are ego, illusory, because you're just stuck on your own story that you keep repeating yourself. So the moment you see the futility of the mind that wants to control things, wants to have some kind of power, whether power of knowing or power like a title or prestige or money, because people think that when they get there, they will finally have peace of mind, which is absurdity, right?
Yep.
So the peace of mind is when you don't really think that you need to have anything else but you being alive.
Yep.
So when you are aware, all that nonsense stops. So rather than finding answers, you have no more questions. You simply live and explore and learn and grow and go every day as you are. So I would say that the quality of thinking increases the more you are aware, because you can see where these are coming from.
So the more we are aware, the better we are at thinking, and the better we are at thinking, the better we are at awareness also, self-awareness also, right? So that circle keep cycling and help us to live better, to make better decisions, I think. So thanks for sharing that. We know the past. We know the 2 years that you went to the UK, and honestly, I really admire that because not a lot of people has that courage to to give everything in like that, and like you guys. Then you went to the 30 years as very successful in the corporate ladder and going to the top of the ladder, and then decided to at the same time found a different path to go, a path that can be more fulfilling and helping people to be fulfilling. So I want to congratulate you for that, and now we are heading to the future a little bit. Okay, is there anything that Dino is doing and Dino is happy, exciting, and Dino want to share with us so that we can celebrate with you in advance?
Okay. So basically, I'm coaching. So
Ah,
I'm a coach. I'm dedicating myself to coaching mainly, and so I just came back from an immersive experience with an ex-corporate executive,
mm,
and this is really the kind of experiences that I like to do, and I like to do more and more.
mm,
So coaching is my move now. So
uh-huh,
this is what I'm doing, and I don't plan for like 5 years in advance, but today I'm enjoying this experience. This is what I'm doing, and perhaps the future would be this for me, to
right.
increase the number of people that go through these experiences and have group trips.
Yep. Yesterday I talked to one speaker, right, and then here's what he said: the hardest is coming from the 0 to 1. All right. So if we can change only one person, and that person can create a ripple effect to create change to 2 to 3 to 10 to 100 to 1,000. So keep just don't undermine the power of one. So that's it, one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. All right. I'll ask you the last question, and this is my commitment to my communication coach, because I forgot to ask this question from time to time. So she reminds me again if I've been asking this question. And this is a bizarre question, so like it can be anything, all right? So for Dino, I asked you this question for 30 years up until now. Do you still sing and playing guitar?
Not that often, but from time to time I do.
Ah, okay. Cause
I also, I also play the drums.
don't let it die, all right? Because like I think that whatever that makes you happy, enjoying, because those moments that you travel in the UK gave you a big lesson in the life, right? And so from time to time, reward yourself with playing the drummer, play the guitar, and sing, and be weird, be whatever you want to be. We only die once, so be happy,
Okay,
be enjoyable.
exactly. I'm in. I'm all in.
Okay, my friend, I really enjoyed the conversation today. I'm thankful for the opportunity to having you to the show, and for the chance to meet you in person like this. And
It's
if you
been
have,
great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, I've enjoyed it a lot.
make sure that remember us if you travel to Vietnam, because we are here. Okay, so
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
my friend, thanks a lot for sharing your story, and I wish you
Thank you.
everything great so that you can continue to make change to the lives of other
Thank
people, help them
you.
to have the sparkle moments and live authentically and fulfillingly. Right?
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on your show.
You're very welcome. See you
Thank you.
soon. Bye, my friend.
Ciao. Ciao. Ciao.